Hi everyone, welcome to Flow Records. This is a wild combination session, and I just want to introduce our special guests. We've got Theo Parrish, head honcho of Sound Signature Records, Detroit, and Swooping, Simon Mavin, Perrin Moss, Paul Bender, aka the fabulous rhythm section of Hiatus Kaiyote, and also Clever Austin, the Marshmallows, Sweet Enoughs, blew it. Anyway, so thanks for coming through, and thanks for having us up here. We'll first of all just acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Bundjalung mob, and all of their tribes, and pay our respects to their custodianship of the lands and the waters and the skies, and of course the song lines that tell the story of this country. And we're about to tell a couple more. So I'm going to start out by throwing out, Theo, you just dropped a new EP called Traffic Jams, and the track list is really nice because it flows into just one sentence. Positive mental attitude, we got that PMA, cures all traffic jams. I'm going to let you expand.
Yes, Laurie. Well, the thing about any situation, be it your human body, be it something like a physical traffic jam, it's the idea of there being a coagulation and there being something that's restrictive. And so if you study health at all, if you study traffic health, there's a commonality there. Any kind of like blockage, more or less, is not it's not a good thing per se for the human body, for energy, for people. That's where a lot of trouble tends to happen. It's when you've got conflicting thoughts, conflicting ideas, a convergence of clotted blood in artery. Pressure breaks pipes, as they say. So if you have too much of one thing going into one thing, it can explode it and disrupt your whole system. At that point, I had just lost a good friend and mentor, and that was Amp Fiddler. And his initials, Amp, PMA. And so I never met a more positive musical affirmative person than Amp. And so I was like, okay, I didn't want to do a dedication record to Amp, like per se. This was dedicated to it, but just imply that. And I thought of what was it about this person? And it was flow. He let everything go through him. But then also too, like the idea of what is a traffic jam, man? And like, I hate traffic jams personally. I love cars. I love the process of driving. But it's the movement that I dig a lot. Traffic jams are just the worst. They're the worst on your vehicle, they're the worst on people. People lose, you get all types of violence, you get all types of stuff. So, heart attacks. I had a friend of mine who was close to having a stroke as well. So, you had constriction in the body, starting that, and inflammation. The idea that when things get inflamed, that's how you lose it. And I'm getting older, and I'm seeing, friends of mine pass and friends of mine get unhealthy and stuff like that. And so, there you go.
With that concept of the traffic jam, was that more about what was going on around you, or were you also experiencing some sort of, like, because I've heard you talk about creative block when you're talking about the concept of this EP, and yeah, was that something you were also going through at the time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had no reason Like I couldn't find reasons to make anything. And usually when I got to places where I didn't have a reason to make something, that meant that either A, I was stagnant, I hadn't gone out, hadn't seen what was out here, hadn't gone to the record store, and then I sometimes can't tell the difference between when I need to be public social or when I need to go see my members of my family, people I care about. Because I'm a very solitary person mostly. And so I'll be within my own zone. Like when I say solitary, it's usually 5 people, because there's only maybe about 5 people that I think can be around me and still be alone with me, and I don't feel that kind of thing. Luckily, my children are 2 of those people, but only when they can realize and recognize when daddy's feeling that way. But you got to train them to be that way as well, to experience that. And so with one child, I have a lot more connection with, the other one I have less. So she's a lot more challenging in that way. So she's not hearing that daddy's in his zone shit, because she's 7, but also because it wasn't impossible for me to establish those kind of things as I had with my son. But it's a beautiful thing, because it's snatching me out of my shit that your responsibilities don't give a damn about how you feel about your creative gifts. They're non-negotiable responsibilities. And those non-negotiables you still have to survive through and live through. So I was blocked. Amp had just left us, and I don't really do funerals like that.
Yeah.
So people, I could feel people wanting to pull from me. I could feel that. And so the thing about this traffic jam, these series, there's about 20 versions of this that built, and I worked on it maybe in a 2-week session, every day, piecemeal, more. The beginning session sounded nothing like that. The first week was putting together the drum tracks for it. The second was, it was a sample-based thing at first. Then that moved into me and keys. And then when it finally finished all of that, then the flow started happening back, and then other things started coming out again. So it literally, I was coagulated.
Yeah, you can sort of hear it as well, especially in the title track. Like, it gets very thrashy, and like it sounds like. Don't take this the wrong way.
No.
When the printer gets jammed, and you're like, ah! And everything's like rubbing against itself, and you're trying to pull the paper, and you rip the paper, and it's just getting chaotic. That's right. And then you get this sort of sparse, like, at the end, and it just, you finally get space.
That's right.
And then the blockages remedied. Okay, with that in mind, what about you boys? When's the last time you had a creative block, and what did you do about it?
I feel like I'm.
You're the one to answer this question, Pezzy.
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm in a block musically, for creating my own stuff at the moment. But then I'm just like turning towards other mediums of creativity, and that's really helping me. And then like, guess realizing that like so many other forms of creativity fulfill me in the same way music does.
What other forms of creativity are you talking about?
Doing lots more drawing and making little just working with clay, air drying clay. I want to get a kiln one day. But getting really into that, I love that. Just the feeling of like using your hands and just making something. No thought, like no preconceived idea. Just kind of get on and just like my music and just start somewhere, and then one idea sparks another idea, and just kind of keep flowing like that. And that's been really fun. And also being really patient with my because I know I've done a lot previously, like creatively, musically.
Yeah, this is the kind of guy that has like 4,000 terabytes of hard drives of just amazing music just sitting in the cupboard, and he's like, I gotta keep making more stuff.
Yeah, but then I've become overwhelmed with the amount that I haven't put out there, and sifting through it takes a long time, and I'm really badly organized with my file. My file management is horrible, so. Just like trying to work that out, but so like I will get around to like releasing some of that music, eventually, but I'm not being hard on myself and just allowing myself to like have new experiences, like and getting into other dimensions of creativity, which is super fun.
Cool. You're sort of channeling it from one, instead of like accepting, oh, I'm blocked, everything sucks, I can't make music. You're just going, well, no, I'm just blocked in that discipline, and you're instead. It sounds like the channels are still flowing, but you're just directing the energy through different channels instead.
For sure.
To repurpose it.
And then like performing live as well.
Yeah.
Doing so much like with Hiatus, so it's like getting off tour to make more music is sometimes just exhausting.
Yeah.
And, so it's something else apart from music is nice.
Yeah. Bender, Simon, what about you? I mean, both of these guys have a really long and meaty. That sounds so bad.
Wow. Yeah, I'll take it.
Improvisation.
Stop there. Let them fill in the blanks.
Oh, of course you would.
You sick fuck.
Improv background. Fuck my life. All right, Bender, come on.
All right.
Bassman. It just feels like the tour van all over again.
It does. I don't know. I've had creative block so many times. And some of those have been, just like today it doesn't feel good, or sometimes it's like weeks go by, or sometimes months go by where it feels like, I don't know, I don't feel necessarily that creative, and then I don't know what to do with it. But I feel, I don't know, I think the thing I try to keep in mind is, there's so many facets to what, it is to be a creative person. Sometimes it's actually doing the creating, like I'm going to try to make this song, I'm going to try to create this recording, that will immortalize something. And sometimes that feels inaccessible. And in those times, I just try to trust that, like, there's other stuff that I can do that will help the next time that I'm going to do that. So I'd be like, I'm going to just try working on an instrument, like maybe it's a different instrument. The last couple of years I've been playing a bunch of cello, and that's been a really nice thing to be like, I'm just learning pieces that already exist. I'm sitting with this instrument and I'm just trying to do it good, and I'm going to try to improve my technique and my intonation, and that is a beautiful thing to do in itself, because it just really can simplify, like, what it is to be a musician. Like, I just have to try to, like, get a little bit better at this all the time. And then I always have to, do that and then trust that, like, at some point this is going to pay off. And it always is that point. There's been so many points where I'm like, I'm going to try to, like, get a little bit better at this. And I'm going to, try to learn some, like, little sort of production tricks, and, like, dipping into all these little areas where I'm not really necessarily, like, making stuff. I'm just, like, building skills.
Yeah, do you feel like that when you dabble in that kind of stuff? Like, I mean, you've been playing a bunch of guitar as well, arranging strings. Dude's genius. It's traumatic. Like, do you think that adds to your vernacular on the bass?
Well, yeah, no, I think it just adds to my vernacular as a musician, because I've had lots of periods where I'm like, I feel very, like, lost. I don't know what I'm, like, doing, because when you're trying to, like, just experiment and just develop things in a bunch of areas, you can end up feeling like I'm just kind of lost floating out here. I don't know, like, what this is all for. I'm just putting hours into, like, I'm trying to do a bit of this and trying to do a bit of that, and just, like, but every time I've just tried to like trust that this is going to be worth it. And then I've had so many moments where I've been working on a thing where, like, all these different skills that I was sort of simultaneously kind of trying to chip away at has converged into this moment where they all suddenly became really useful, and then this awesome thing happened on, like, a recording, and I'm like, yes, that's why I did all that. Like,
it's like the end of a Curb
you know
episode.
What I mean?
When
exactly.
everything
Like,
comes in.
you just keep sort of like, getting a little bit better at a bunch of things, learning a bit of things at a time, and eventually it's like you have these payoff moments. Like, okay, cool, that was the process that I needed to do. Was just like learn stuff, and then the next time I'm like, actually, literally creating something. It's like, oh, I can do this now. I can, like, record these strings in this track now. Like, I couldn't do that before,
Okay, well, with that in mind, and taking the concept of PMA, positive mental attitude, which for those who don't know, it's from a Bad Brains song, Attitude. We got that PMA. And with that in mind, how you were talking about trusting in just wanting to learn stuff, and also just trusting the process, do you think that PMA, like not necessarily just trying to be positive and being like, I'm going to manifest this, I'm going to manifest that, but actually just being humble and trusting yourself is really where the PMA is at?
I think, like, ultimately, I just want to touch on what Bender was saying, what everyone else has been saying. Creation is a wild, mysterious beast. You know, that if anyone tells you they've clocked it, they're full of shit.
Yes, right.
You know, like, and
lying.
that's just how it is, the journey. Like, if everyone comes to you and says, how do I write a song? You're like, I don't know, man. You just do it. You know, like, there's no like formula, there's no template, and if they do give you a template, it's gonna suck. Because you got to figure out your own way of doing it every time you do it. You know, and that's the difficulty in it. And that's where you get these blocks, that's where you get this stagnation, because every time it's a new thing. And that's so difficult in itself to constantly be trying to do something that's fresh and different to the last time. And then year after year after year after year, record after record after record, and it's like, of course you're going to get into these ruts where you just like, I'm numb, I don't even know what this means anymore, but you just got to be comfortable with it and be able to see the other side is coming, you know? And then all of a sudden, bam, you're out of it. And then you're back and you're like, oh, don't know how that happened, but it happened.
Was that? Yes.
You know?
There's something I want to add to this, which is, you know, I feel like when I was first learning how to be a musician, my main concern about music was just trying to make things that sound cool. It was like trying to make music.
Yeah, that's where you blow it.
It's just like trying to make music that's about that it's music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it's like, what is music about? It's about that it is music. You know, it's like, well, you know. And then there's been periods where I've like been making much music or working on that much music, and I'm just being like living life, and then you have these moments where you realize, oh, like creativity is also about doing stuff about your life.
Yes.
And like there's a record that I made a few years ago that was like, you know, a breakup record, and
Give us the name, Bender. Come on.
it's called How to Forget. It was my first foray into just like being the singer-songwriter guy, you know, it's just full sad boy shit. But
It's so sad. It's so sad.
it's real sad. But
It's beautiful,
the key
though.
thing I think that I took away from it was like, I'd been really working on a whole bunch of music. I just was in a real rut, and then something in my life happened that triggered me to like, now I have something that I want to like make songs about. And this is the first time I wanted to sing about stuff. And I wrote like every song in the album in like 2 weeks. They just like, boom, like they just, we sit down, start writing a song, and then like a couple hours later, that's the song. Like that's the whole song. It like just fell out. So effortless, because it was other things that had happened that created the music, that I didn't have to be like, no, I have to go and make music to prove that I'm not a piece of shit. It was just like, you know what I mean? It was just like, music needs to come out of me now. And now
You're like, I'm exploding.
yeah, and then, you know, it was really a beautiful thing to be able to transmute all this negative shit into an album that I wrote and recorded and played every single thing on by myself. And that was the ultimate moment of like, all that shit that
was
I
your
did,
glow up.
just spending all the time learning all this stuff, trying to learn all these instruments. Now I can record a whole album by myself, play all the shit and record it and mix it and do all the things. And it was, and it was actually about something that happened to me, and not just like, I need to like.
Yeah, you're not
Make
making
music
music for the
about-
sake of trying to put out records to like keep doing a career as a musician.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about your actual life and not just like proving your like worth to yourself by like, I'm being busy doing the thing that I'm meant to do, right? You know, like,
Right.
Oh, well, we can all spot that from a mile off too. You can always see when that's happening. But look, with that experience in mind, and I'm so guilty of this too, is it easier to make music when you feel like shit? When something sad's happened?
It depends. It's-
Like,
it
okay,
depends.
how many happy... You actually have heaps of happy songs. But, but like, I'm like... So many people just write about
subjective, though.
heartache or loss or grief or anxiety.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I mean, I definitely found this way. And that album was a huge example of it, where it's like, I feel so awful that I need to... It's like you need a purge.
Purge.
You know?
Yeah.
And does that does that make the unblockage like flow better?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think sometimes.
It can.
Yeah.
It can. I guess it really comes down to your process.
Yeah, exactly.
Your process and how you deal with your time management. Like, what are the non-negotiables, and how much room do your non-negotiables leave for that empty space for you to manage? Do you hit the bar then? Do you self-cope? Do you self-cope while you create? Is your process the kind of process that's immediate? Can you deal with maybe not getting to all of your process, but being those things that are process adjacent? Let's say you can't get to your keyboard, get in the studio, get your guitar, whatever, but you hum a melody in your fucking phone.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you don't actually hit record, but you listen to some shit where someone else is going through something. I don't know. I think it's process.
Yeah. Do you put a time limit on that?
I mean, whenever it can call you, and it can grab you, if you leave that kind of room in your life, I think that might be one of the universal aspects of creativity, and one of the requirements is that your life is designed in a way that you can at least access that time, and that the people in your life understand that whether they like it or not. Because if they understand that, then they can maybe understand you as a being, and maybe you don't have to hide from them, or you don't have to push them away so much. And they become in your corner, not necessarily in your circle.
Yeah, and you're setting an expectation between yourself and those people that you have relationships with, where they're like, well, I fuck with you as a person, and the reason I fuck with you as a person is because you know, go in your little hermit hole and you make this music and you're so expressive, and then I see that and I relate to it, you know. It's like letting people actually just be themselves and get in their own little grooves.
Yes.
Simon,
yes.
I want to pull over to your recent solo piano record, Some Days, which is completely different to any of the other records that we're talking about here, and is kind of completely different to anything that within our crew anyone's put out. There's 5 tracks, 6, 5?
Yeah, some of that. 7,
just
6?
piano and these I don't even know how to sort of describe the music, but it's sort of got like a contemporary classical feel to it, but it's just so much more than that. But can you tell us a little bit more about how you wrote those songs? Like, did you chip away at them? Because they're very much piano pieces that you can sit and learn, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that just kind of came together over a number of years without really thinking about it. It was kind of me starting with an exercise of trying to create a piece in one sitting. So I'd sit down. I mean, it started in a hotel room in LA. I just dragged the keyboard up there, plugged it in, played this thing came out, I recorded it, and then I was like, whoa, that's a song, you know? And then I was like, that was a really quick process, and then I just continued to do that over a number of years till I had a whole body of just improvisations and songs that I kind of just sort of found the ones that flowed together well, and then, you know, management were like, you got to put a solo record out, and I was like, all right. So this is what came out, you know? But it became interesting when I had to relearn the songs to play them live, and then I started treating them like compositions, whereas they were originally improvisations.
The ditties,
you know?
yeah.
So then all of a sudden it was a lot more difficult for me to play them in that sense, because I sort of had there was this sort of perfectionist view of what the songs were, and now I had to play them the way that I did. Well, I didn't, but of course I pressured myself too.
That's the classical side of you coming out.
Yeah, and then it was a really beautiful process to have to do that.
And it was really nice watching Simon did his album launch in like a very small, intimate space, very much like this one, with just a baby grand and, you know, friends and family just sitting on the floor. And it was like a recital. Like, it was fun. It was like, you know, when you come and you're just watching your friend play piano for the night, and it was really special. And it was just so different to, you know, any other gigs that we've all been engaging with recently. Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to keep moving along unless you have anything more to add on that tip. No, let's go. Let's go.
Nailing it, man.
Okay. All right. Well, then, with musicianship and like a positive attitude and like trying to integrate that into your life as well, and to try and have that synergy, can musicianship or like the practice of being a songwriter or a producer also enable like unhealthy vices and habits?
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
Care
You
to
knew that
share?
answer. You knew that answer.
Without question.
Who wants to go first?
me. No.
Not
I'm a piece of shit. I've heard people who cared about me with music, sure.
I don't mean the obvious ones. Like we've got the sex, drugs, and rock and roll story.
Yeah.
I mean like sort of more introspective things. Like, do they fuel anxieties or like get you into bad, psychological patterns where you need to sort of CBT yourself out of it? But
I feel like for me, like a big one a couple of years ago, maybe like 5 years ago, I realized that I just said no to everything and all my friends for every single thing that they invited me to.
I remember that too.
Because I was always just in the studio. And then I was like, and then I get a little older, I'm like, fuck, I don't feel like making music today. I'm gonna like call some people, and then it's like, something's already happening and you weren't invited because you just always say no.
Yeah, you're the no guy.
I'm the no guy. And then, no, I'm busy, and it's like, Pez, like maybe we should ask him, but he's probably just in the studio making beats. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, and that kind of like, there was a point where I was like, fuck, I need to like take better care of my friends around me, and
you need to be a yes man.
Gonna be a yes man for a while. I basically switched it, but like that was like it was a moment of realization where I'm like, fuck, I can't like do this forever. I don't want to like be like that guy that's just like always by himself.
Yeah.
I do like my own solo time. I think we all do. But that's something that affected me a little bit, and I got out of it. And it's cool, just having a nice balance between friends, life, and music. It's not all about music. And for me, it was an obsession. And I just kept going.
I think the most complex thing with it is that there's so many branches for being an artist of growth, and once you go down one, that turns into another 5, and then that one turns into another 10. So like the deeper you go, the deeper it gets, and the more all-consuming it becomes. And that's the difficult thing. I think, for me, it was when I finally, had a relationship with somebody that turned into a marriage, and then I had to learn how to have a relationship because I was so focused on my music and my career that that was like a real wake-up call to how deep I had gone into that world, and how completely obsessed I was with myself and the art. And everything was revolving around me and what I was trying to make and who I was trying to become.
Sound familiar, ladies? Who's dated an artist?
Yeah.
It actually is. It kind of is like that.
Because the more you go in, the more you go in, and like the more successful you become, the more you go in. And it's just like it's ever.
Then you're paid to go in.
Then you're paid to do it, and then it becomes very confusing.
Then it becomes a self-justification.
Yeah.
Then you're like, well, I can't have this argument. I gotta go, and now it becomes That's your like your pink slip to get out of class.
Yeah, you're like,
sometimes like
I have a pass.
Right, like, and these are people that you love. You know what I mean? And like, I run into that a lot because I'm having conversations now with my son sometimes, and he'll say things like, well, you were never around, or da 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 da. But he's like, I know him well enough to know that he's kind of playing psychological warfare because he's like older now. Where I know for a fact, I was present, dude. What are you talking about? So I know it's like this tripped out psychological, look kind of head game he's playing with me. He's like, yeah, I know you're not gonna be able to make it, da 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 da. So I'm gonna da da da. I'm like, yeah, what was that the case? And I remember
times how to push your
buttons.
buttons.
They're fucking with me, but like, but other times, but there were certain periods where I absolutely knew that I was not there for him and there for his mom and there for the family that I subscribed to, because it felt like if I didn't do this thing, not only could I not support them, but I couldn't be the best me without being all by myself. So maybe that thing is that connection of the artistry to the ego and that self-definition. I am a this So therefore, I must keep doing that thing. And then fuck everybody else because they're not going to help me do that thing. So it becomes this in and out weird thing. But like that addiction to solitude is one. But the other issue is like sometimes you can be too much Mr. Yes Man.
Yeah, no, yes, you can.
Too much yes man.
Yeah.
And you yes.
I was yes everything when I was younger, and then I was no everything for a long time.
Yeah.
The balance.
It
It's always a
weaves.
balance, man.
It weaves. There's not a direct answer to that one.
I
That's a
started
great
this
question.
new philosophy, right? If you're not having fun, making money, or learning something, just go home. That's it. That's when you call it. Because they're all valuable. There's a bit of hedonism, a bit of productivity. Like, I reckon that's where you draw it. Not easy to, I mean, like, I don't always live by it. You've seen me. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll never know the answers to these questions.
I think it's okay to feel like you don't have anything to offer and be okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like kind of accept that today is not the day, but that's okay. There's always tomorrow.
Yeah, and you can
attitude.
just like float along like a little sea anemone or something and just like soak up what's going on around you, and maybe that will like give you some inspiration of what to do tomorrow.
Yeah. No, it's tricky. It's tricky because it's like I feel like the two ends of my spectrum of being productive is like if I'm being really creative, like if I'm at my most creative, it's like this insane manic tunnel vision where every other thing is gone. Like every you know what I mean? That's when you're in like laundry, nah.
Yeah,
Dishes
I was like,
in the sink,
shower,
all
no.
that, you know,
Shave,
like all that
no.
shit.
Shower,
You just like, I will just do this for 12 hours without blinking.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like in the zone, I'm getting it done. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have, you know, done stuff I'm so happy with because I'm in that moment where the chain of thought and the flow state is just unbroken. But everything else in your life is just like, you know, just everything's on the back
maggots
burner.
and it's
it is,
steaming and
yeah,
there's
and it
a
can
pile
be
of
so like physically and socially and everything else unhealthy, and then that's like one extreme, and then you know the other end is you know when you're doing less stuff is just finding those feelings of like, you know, well, I guess it's over for me. I've done as much as I'm ever gonna do. I'm just not creative anymore, and I'm totally worthless, and you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's really hard to manage that, and yeah, that shit changes so much, you know. Just as you go through different phases of your life, and you know, it never quite stays the same because it can't stay the same. You know, situations change, and you know, relationships and everything change things, and you know, and your priorities change as well. You know. But you know, you can. It's just, you know, I think the hardest thing for me has always just, you know, been finding the balance. Like, how do you have like a healthy, balanced life when you're just doing the right amount of all the things that you should be doing, and it is
There's
this
a
wholly unattainable grail. And
There's
feel
a
like
big industry of life coaches
You
that
gotta-
maybe
Right.
they could help
Yeah.
you with that.
right?
Gotta
I
move to
find
Byron
being
Bay, man.
comfortable without the balance is the key.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on, say that again.
Just becoming comfortable
Being
With
unbalanced.
mayhem.
being unbalanced.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
getting
you're
to
always
the
so
point
calm
where-
though. How do you even do that? Is it because you go to the Chinese doctor 3 times a week? You're
No,
getting
you
those
just-
blockages
I mean-
sorted.
I don't know. I'm like in my 40s now. I've been a musician since I was like, you know, I've been playing piano my whole life, but I've been a musician for over 20 years now, and it's like this shit was happening to me in the beginning, you know? Like if you continue to have this roller coaster of professional emotions, you know, that come into your business and in your life, like you will go absolutely crazy.
Yes.
And like you either accept it for what it is and roll with it as best you can, or you figure out how to solve it. And I could never figure out how to solve it. You know, it's like it always comes back inevitably. Like
Yeah, you just build up coping mechanisms or strategies to.
yeah, you just
Work
realize
through
that it's going to happen, and when it happens, you get the perspective to be able to step back and be like, okay, this is happening again. It's all good. It'll ride out. You know, like
Write it out.
you know. But that's just I don't know.
It's like,
That's not just a part of being a creative person. It's a part of life, dude.
yeah,
You know.
it's being a human. That there's gonna be those things that come and go. The thing that jumps up on me a lot of times is urgency. Because then I go, okay, have I done enough? And then, tick-tock, any minute, I'm out of here. Like, that starts to build as you get older, because I'm probably the oldest one here, I'm 51. So when you have that, you start, okay, without a question, tick-tock, right? It's winding down. Have I done everything that I've come here to do? And you have to kind of shake yourself out of that idea that it's not necessarily what you're going to leave. It's the idea that you're constantly in the flow of growing and still being excited about it. And still being creative about it. And not necessarily worrying it, because we don't know when it's time to go. And so...
Yeah, then that'll just catch you off guard. Like,
that'll have you fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a paradoxical thing. You throwing out some hell of a questions, shit.
I've got another one for you.
That's a nice one.
This is a bit sci-fi, but I feel like you'd all have a pretty sick answer to this. So you know how this tech guy that I'm not going to name right now has invented a brain chip?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, if everyone, so let's just say it's a brain USB. You're sharing around files from your brain USB to other people's where you could stand next to them and just download it. Bluetooth. I'm calling it, what did I write? Thought import.
Oh, okay? God, thought import.
You can choose one lesson or thought to share that people could access from your Bluetooth.
Oh, God.
I told you I was going to get fucking sci-fi.
Oh, fuck, all right.
I didn't prep you for this one. Look now. Come on, Bendy, you're going to have some sicko answer to this, I know
it's either that one or this one, then you know it's going to be real.
If I was importing files directly into your brain, I would put some really fucked up shit on there just to try.
I know, you would. What fucked up shit?
I don't know. Things of which we cannot speak.
Yeah, probably not PG.
Dude, that's a hard question. I don't know.
All right, well, hey, I'll narrow it back from a less psycho sci-fi version. What's a piece of knowledge from someone you look up to, in a creative sense, that they've imparted on you that you're like, fuck, that put shit into perspective for me. I'm never going to forget that. And I'm going to embed it in my practice.
There's many, I'm sure. But
knock yourself out,
one?
Pezzy.
I know, I'm just trying to think of one. Definitely had.
You said how many?
Just one.
Just one.
If you want to tell more, I'm not stopping you.
I had a really basic one a long time ago when I was super young. I was playing hand percussion. My mum took me to these drumming circles, classic that happens up here. It happens in the mountains as well, Blue Mountains, where I'm from. And I was playing like a hyper kid on a drum, and I was just loving it. And then this great percussionist, much older than me, comes up to me and is like, "You must have seen that I was really passionate about what I was doing." And he was like, "Hey, some advice." And I was probably 13 or something like that, really young. And he's like, watch all the dancers' feet and just listen to everyone else around you and try and fit in. And he told me that, and I was like, that was good advice.
That's really tight advice.
And when I first started playing with these guys, that's all I thought about. When I first started playing drums, I'm just listen, don't overplay, and we don't have dancers on stage, but that's the vibe. What's a dancer's feet?
Drummers, a lot of drummers are trying to do the most. And
that's good.
So I hope that message thought imports to all the drummers out there in the metasphere and the dancers. Just the same rhythm.
Yeah.
What about you? Come on, you've got some wisdom being imparted.
A pretty profound moment for me, which was when I was probably similar, younger. I was about 17, 18, and I was getting lessons at the time, studying at university, and I went through a 6-month period with this one teacher who was a horrible man. and he was really negative towards me for a long time, and he kind of crushed my soul a little bit and got me away from loving the instrument, and I had to put my foot down and change teachers, and I got a new teacher, and I went and saw this new teacher, and I sat and played for him, and I was in a really messed up headspace, and played him a song, and he stopped me halfway through, and he's like, "Simon, stop." And he's like, "Dude, you're a beautiful musician, man." And he just sort of gave me this incredible positive energy just at the right time when I needed it. Yeah. And he continued to do that because he knew that I needed it, And it sort of taught me
awesome.
this incredible lesson about teaching and how careful you have to be,
my
and
God.
how much
It's like,
you know.
like making lace. They're so delicate. These
Yes.
little people are sponges.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yes.
and like
I'm
that
glad
that
that
kind
guy
of
did
positive
that.
energy is what I always try and bring when I teach now. It's like, you know, you've always just got to be super careful with the way that you approach your students.
Fully. I mean, and you don't know what that kid. I mean, this goes the same with any interaction, but especially little kids. They're what they've gone through that day, what other teachers have said stuff to them, and how like damaging that can be. Even sometimes their parents or their friends have said something that, you know, can really hurt or like make them feel like they're not, you know, their creative outlet isn't great or is actually shit, or they're naughty or they're going nowhere or whatever. And you're handling this like little snowflake, and you just need to like, yeah, the way that you need to nurture it, you need to water it, because as soon as they believe in their own self-efficacy, then they can actually get into that flow state of music, which is like when you're at that age, you know, you're 16, 17, and you're just sort of practicing alone, and you just sort of go into these weird little trains of thought because, you know, this is all pretty new.
Confidence is at a very all-time low.
Yeah, but at the
points,
same time,
you
when
know.
you're alone, you're just not really thinking about what's going on around you, and you really weird shit. You're a loose, like
you're
it's
yourself.
a lame age of life. When you're 16, you're like annoying, and you're like
Changing.
You think you
Yeah.
know everything, but then you just go into this flow state, and yeah, as teachers, I guess it's our responsibility to just keep peddling that little brain, to just keep being a weirdo, flying the freak flag.
Okay, I guess I would say my thing would be, if you want to grow a garden, you got to have some fertilizer, you know? You got to have some actual shit, you know? Like so many times when you're trying to do something brand new, I've never tried to do this before, like play a brand new thing on my instrument or play a brand new instrument or, you know, get together with the band, like try this, we're going to do this crazy thing in this song, it's going to be so mental. And it just sounds like so bad, you know. It's just the whole experimental process just rests on the fact that you're gonna make really bad noises sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a
You just gotta be
must.
like, that's okay, you know. So many people get put off by that. It's like, oh, like I did one bad thing. Oh my god, like, and it's like sometimes you just gotta. You know, you got to throw all that sludge on there and just be like, it's okay. You know, that's me learning. That's me figuring this out. And sometimes you find whole new things, you know. Try to play something on the keyboard and you should, you know, put one finger in the wrong place. And it's like, that's a whole new chord you'd never thought about before. And it's like, wow, you just gained knowledge through fucking up.
That's how I play music.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you just got to be okay with things not being good because... And I think, you know, the more you're okay with that, the more you can end up doing things that are more original, you know. It's like, I feel that's why, just in general, you know, in the whole scope of the world of music, you know, there's so many, you know, there's this whole storied development of people doing such experimental things, you know, all the weirdest guys and girls just doing such strange sounds that it's just so normal now. You know, it's like that's like the entire history of electronic music.
Well,
it's just like, what is this gonna do? And everyone's like, man, this sounds demented and stupid. And what is these ridiculous space noises? This isn't real music. And now that's all that stuff, Daphne, Delia Dove and shit, all that stuff, all that, you know, whole thing of, you know, experimental music. Then just finds its way into all these like pop songs, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I can dance to this," and it's like, you know,
Why'd you put that voice on it? That's the greatest voice.
You know, there's all this stuff embedded in it that came out of that, like all that shit that everyone didn't like. You know, it's like, so you know, it's good to, you know, just try to push out there and make some mistakes and just make wrong noises and just like keep rolling with it. You know.
Do you think that's how ASMR was invented?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Because like ASMR, I feel like ASMR is the new gen of that, of just weird sounds that people are making, and I feel like I can hear it crop up in popular music now, like these little kind of
Yeah.
sounds, like the clicks and they're like, and
Yeah.
but then in a weird way, I'm thinking about like industrial and techno kind of music where it's machines and more experimental sounds that are creating rhythms. Do you reckon? Go on.
I got one. I got one to go back to the thing.
Rewind.
We jump off the thing. Because I was sitting there like, wait a minute. Really, though? Like, really answer that question. So I started cooking on it. And I came up and I realized one of the best things you can do, and this is me thinking about it, right? It's not what you say, it's the questions you ask yourself, right? And so I was like, okay, when you're down, because everybody goes down, right? Everybody gets to those points where they feel fucked up or something happened to them or they did something, they feel depressed, whatever. As long as you make room to ask yourself one question, did something happen to me or was I just interrupted? Like, who are you interrupted? If you're so down that you can't ask yourself that question, then just stay down and accept it until you can ask yourself that question. Who am I uninterrupted? Sorry. Who am I uninterrupted? And then get to answering that question. Find out who you are uninterrupted. Because you'll start to see that often there's other forces that keep you from that next idea, that you're interrupted. You're not stopped, you're not dead, you're not hurt. You're actually you just got thwarted for a moment. You just got tripped. So if you can answer that question over again, who am I uninterrupted? Without, and it was something I saw of all things on fucking Instagram. Somebody asked somebody the question, I thought it was poignant. I was like, okay.
Who asked it? That's a great question.
I have no idea.
Some
I should be able
someone on
to.
the feed.
But it was like, 300 of those things I'm flipping through.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
You plugged in, brother. You plugged in.
The self-ego feeding device that just gives you back what you already. Yeah, I believe in that. I believe in that too.
You're like, yes, yeah. You got yassified on Instagram, Theo.
Jacking off your ego, yeah. Feels great. Yeah. Then one of them came through that was like, that was like, shit. That made me put the shit down. I was like, who the fuck am I uninterrupted? Fuck.
Yeah, it's a good question.
You got to get on the Hiatus Kaiyote algorithm, man. That's a sicko fucko chat right there.
Oh,
That won't be
man, I
stroking
gotta
your
get in
ego.
there. See, I'm a voyeur. I don't add shit. I just sit in there like,
Bender, CC the man.
yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm glad you got something good out of it.
Gotta get some.
Because it can feel like you're picking at shit sometimes on those kind of apps. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
Just
Looking
like
for something.
how we are. Just like how we are in our minds. We're always dealing with some bullshit or something that we shouldn't be preoccupied with in our heads, or the shouldn'ts themselves, the couldn'ts themselves. But those moments where it's profound, like you don't even know it's fucking profound until you've actually found yourself in motion and investigating another thing. And I think it's dangerous when people stand still.
Yes.
That coagulation is very
Stagnation,
dangerous.
man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stretch it out, man.
You gotta wiggle. Get the wiggling.
I need a little, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm coagulating.
Get
Which on
coagulated.
my upper lip is coagulating right now. Shout out to Byron. Okay, all right. Another weirdo
Oh,
question
shit,
from
all
this
right.
weirdo.
Go ahead.
What is the last inanimate object that had you grooving? Like you just heard the sound of something and you're like, that's fucking hot.
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong?
Airport.
This is you'd have a few. Hong Kong airport, what was it?
It was going through what do you call it? Like
The escalators?
yeah, but what part of the
recorded
airport
it.
is that?
I recorded
Oh, you
it.
recorded it? I
was
never
Hong Kong
recorded it, though.
airport.
Yeah, but
There's
it was like going to the into the terminal, like gate change. I'm just kind of thinking what the fucking what
It's
called.
there was an escalator and it had a beep coming from somewhere
Yeah.
that had a polyrhythm with
Yeah.
the beep on the escalator.
Maybe there's so much
And
this
there's
year.
someone going, please watch your step. please watch your step. And it's like the Shags, man.
Yeah.
They're all in time, but none of it's matching up.
It was really cool.
But I got the field recording, so I'm going to send it to you.
Oh,
and
cool.
I'm really
Yeah,
hoping
that
you
was-
can just make something weird out of that.
Yeah, for sure. That was fun though. It was funky, especially one time it was all in time, and then I feel like the next time we came back there, I was like, oh, it's a bit off today, but
Yeah, it was like
cool.
some Doppler effect stuff. It was like, I want to make love
Yeah.
to a mannequin.
some old
Like,
Kraftwerk stuff. That was sick.
what about you?
Not that it is an inanimate object, but there's a bird outside
Ooh.
my bathroom every morning that goes
Do it again?
da, 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 and it just makes me think of down, 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 down.
Nice.
Every morning. Every
They just
morning.
hit play on speaker.
Oh, that's why you get triggered if that comes on the radio.
Every morning, dude. Da, da, da. This damn bird.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
You're like, no!
Yeah. So this morning, 6 a.m., I copped that bird. So yeah, that was the
Oh,
last
so
one.
sorry.
I got.
Learn a new song. You
All right, Theo, you're bursting at the seams.
Oh man, yeah.
This is your shit.
I took my daughter out in this damn car I got, right? And
Come on, what damn car? Give us the model. What's
it's,
going on?
it's this Toyota Supra.
Oh, it's the soup.
Yeah.
Don't say that so quietly.
This is a Toyota
We're
Supra.
vicariously living.
I love the cars sometimes. I'm Theo Parrish and I have an automotive addiction. Hi, Theo.
It's the same space, bro. You go.
Same space. So I picked her up from school, and we go, and we hit a little bit. Well, no, I didn't do anything silly, just driving, and then the wastegate, it was like, and my daughter said, "Your car has a cold." Your car sneezes all the time. And I was
that's
like,
cute.
I know, that's fucking cool.
That is so cute, dude.
So like, and I realized how much I just like the sound of the wastegate in my car. It sounds terrible.
Cute.
It sounds awful.
That's really
It's
cute.
true. That's it.
It's like Thomas the Tank Engine spec. Like, give him a face, give him a personality, give him a cold.
Give him a cold. He's sneezing.
That's
Ben, do you got any grooving kettles or anything like
kettles.
that?
Kettle.
It just kind of reminds me when I first got a Zoom recorder and I just would put the
Yes,
headphones on.
true.
And this is kind of going back to the ASMR thing, and I just like gain it up and walk around and just listen to everything.
Wow.
Really gained, which is just like the best. But I don't know, I've definitely caught myself getting lost in the drones of things, but as far as one I can remember just that has, like more of a groove thing to it, like my combi van sometimes sounds like super gent. Like very Meshuggah, because it's like
Gent.
when it's just like sitting there idling,
yeah.
When
When it's chugging.
Oh shit.
Chugger.
It just sort of sounds like it's kind of sputtering like a fucking, like a Meshuggah song out of the exhaust pipe subtly while it's just sitting there, just idling.
Love that.
I love the way I
Life
like the way
sounds.
I like the way you described it.
Yeah, I was in it.
We're all just like,
Felt it.
What happened next?
Keep going. Keep going.
Perrin, like, oh, yay, that's the spirit.
What's next?
Life sounds.
love that sound.
I had
Sorry,
no, go on, please. Just cut me off,
I
it's
just
fine.
have one thing that I find. This is more just a dumb story than anything else.
Yeah,
but
go on.
Just listening to just phenomena around you.
Yeah.
This is more of a drunk story than anything else. It's
I'm
like,
about
when
it,
you're
go
at a
on.
party and you're like drunk enough that you're taking a piss and then your head's just like on the wall like that. And it was the one time I've listened to Flushing the Toilet all the way through.
Stereo.
Like you press the button and it goes. And it's just this riser. It's this
When's the drop?
There's this
When's the
white
drop?
noise riser that goes for I don't know, like 2 minutes. Yeah, it's just like someone's just got that little cutoff knob, just really
nerd.
just surgically turning it for like 2 minutes and then finally finishes. I'm like, that was so good.
You have
Wow.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes, bro.
I thought you liked that one.
Wow.
Yo.
Oh, I wish I had a.
Oh, my
Oh, I wish I was a fly on the wall, man. Actually, that reminds me of the fly in the fridge. You had
The fly
when
in
you
the
went to
fridge.
that thing in New York. Tell them about the new. There was a sound installation in was it New York City? It's been the longest sound that's ever been.
Oh, this is the Lamont Young. What was it called? It's basically this. I can't remember what it's called again, but this minimalist composer Lamont Young. He's like his family, and I guess his trust has this apartment in New York, and you can just go in, and it's basically just this like drone room where you just go in there. It's quite dark, and you just lie on the floor, and it's just multiple speakers playing weird frequencies, and it's just like an endless, like unchanging drone that like you just lie in it and just bathe in it, and it's not like, it's not like pleasant major,
No, I
fucking
remember you
deep
saying
chorus stuff. It's
you
like
felt
quite, it's quite dissonant. It's like frequencies that kind of
Clash.
beat against each other and make interference patterns that are quite like you start to hear other rhythmic stuff just out of the way. That all these frequencies are kind of clashing and pulsing together.
It's kind of dangerous.
It's like that light
like a drug.
the lighting
it's dangerous.
artist James Terrill, but the
Okay.
audio version. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's just lights, and then all of a sudden you're like, I can see mountains and I can see tiny little mudmen wrestling, and it's like you're
that
just
shit is
looking at a
good.
strobe, and your brain just starts inventing all this shit.
Yeah.
Because I remember you saying, the whole gimmick about that installation, right, was that it had been going for like 30 years. It
Yeah,
hadn't
it's
stopped.
just
It's like
just keeps going.
it was like a record for the longest sound. It
Yeah.
it's kept on going for like 30 years. It's never been turned off.
But yeah, and I really appreciate like it just conceptually is like it's a good reminder that like if you just stop and you just listen to something for a long time, the longer you listen, the more you realize that there is in it. Like
So much. Yeah.
I remember a long time ago just having that with like a huge air conditioning unit outside some building, and I was just like, that sounds kind of wild, and I just like sat underneath it and just listened to it for ages, and it's one of those things. It's like it's just this big sound as it goes,
Yeah.
But then
and
after
then
a
you
while-
sit there and listen to it. And it's like, oh no, like there's that note, and there's that note, and there's that note, and there's that like noise bit, and there's all these layers. The longer you sit with something, it's like sound is just so complex, and
Yes, it
it's
is.
like
Yes, it is.
when you focus on something, like it's just wild how deep it goes. It's like anything, like the longer you focus on it, you realize there's just so much to everything.
Imagine how the dogs feel.
Absolutely.
It's doubled up. God, it's cooking in here, guys.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
serious business.
Oh yeah. Cool. So,
That was so cute.
all right, I'm going to talk about upcoming releases because we haven't got a great deal of time left. But what's cooking? What's cooking? What's coming up?
There's another Sweet Enough's record that is finished.
Tell us a bit about the Sweet Enoughs.
The
For
Sweet
those who haven't
Enoughs
heard.
is an instrumental project. Me and Simon Mavin and an increasingly growing number of guest instrumentalists and performers. Exotica, easy listening, palm tree swaying, dreamy nostalgia music.
White linen two-piece suit.
Hey.
To
all
be
jacked up.
stroll along those beautiful sands. So we've got one record out. It's called Marshmallow, but we've just finished the second record, and it's getting mastered. I don't know when that's going to be out. Might be making some little film thing to it. We don't know yet. Anyway, get that.
Hey.
That's volume 1.
All right.
What about Giannis Dream, like the man who spearheaded this entire campaign?
He is unavailable for comment at this time. That's all I'll say.
We can only hope that he'll be at the next panel discussion.
He may be, but
I-
you'll probably send one of his
The
people.
world is waiting to hear from him. Perrin, you cooking anything up, or you just
Always, but
Yeah.
but no like release on the horizon. I did have an ambient tape that is finished, but then I heard it again and it's not finished. So
that
I
old
don't know.
chestnut?
Hey!
I don't know, like, and I'm just like, what do I do with this? It's like it was like a quick one, so I'm like, do I just get it out there? Probably should. Probably shall. But apart from that, just got like I do have like another EP, album, LP with more of the like, compositions, and they're from a long time ago up until this current point. So I want to release them, but I don't have a name for it or anything. But I've got a bunch of songs, and that does flow as a record already. But everything else is like these little side pieces just around. So I'm not, because I don't want to go obsessive with it. So I just leave it. And so some of the songs are like 8, 9 years old, and I work on them for like an hour, and then just leave it for another 6 months, and then just kind of because this project is more like I press play and I feel really good when I listen to it. So it like helps me through my stuff, and I just kind of like, it's very much therapeutic. So I'm not really, I don't want to like, it's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I just don't want to put too much pressure on it, basically. So I've got that coming out at some point, and then other little ditties, little mixtapes and stuff that I could put out. But nothing, no dates.
Hey, not asking, but that's nice to hear. Theo?
Yeah, got a new thing coming up on the label. That's Mefta and Idea. It's called Sweet Chariot. That's that we just announced it, so it's pretty close to popping out on us. Like I said, Traffic Vinyl is just about to drop. I've
seen people asking. People want it. People want the wax.
Yeah, it's coming. That's a coming, and then the Sweet Chariot's coming. It's an EP, and then after that, then it'll be Organic Hardware, and then the first EP from that. So then we got the songs on that I think are gonna be called Piano Man, Orange Barrel Action.
Orange what?
Orange Barrel Action.
Orange Barrel Action. Love.
NSA Dub Man, and then all your boys are biters. Footed version.
Obsessed.
And then we got a license after that I'm excited about as well. That's EWA featuring Monica Blair. And that's
amazing voice, some sound signature.
Yeah, it's gonna be nutty. And then we'll see what else pops out. I don't know, but that'll keep me occupied well until 2025.
Yeah, you got a bit on.
Fuck yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
that feels good.
Yes.
Is that the aircon? I reckon I probably am purple in the face right now.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. It's good.
Simon, have you got anything in the works? Or is there any like?
I've got a project with 2 other guys, which kind of ties into something you said before. It's called Brain Chip.
Ooh!
And it's with Lanius and AKA Lachlan Mitchell and another guy, Alon Ilsar. And it's a project that's just kind of evolved over about 6 years, and we finally finished the record, and Impressed is going to put it out at the start of the year, next year. So that's coming out. It was a really fun record to make. And
cool. What are you doing on there? Like, what's the concept? What's the feeling of the project?
What's the feeling of the project?
Yeah.
So it began because Alon has created these instruments called air sticks, and they're he's an incredible drummer, but he's got these sort of virtual sticks that he uses to manipulate sound. But he does it
like a theremin or something.
I mean, kind of, but they're like drumsticks in a way. Like they're kind of like Wii controllers, if you know what a Nintendo Wii is, and then he can MIDI map them. But then, because it's
crazy.
Like,
whoa,
it's kind of weird because he's created them and then he's figured out how to play them, and then he gives them to someone else, and they're like, I don't know how to play that. Like,
yeah,
but you're just playing air drums,
weird.
basically.
But then he plays it, and it's incredible. So he's kind of developed his own instrument, and then the project started because he went, here's like 5 or 6 ideas. Do you guys want to make some stuff around them? And then we got in the studio, and then before we knew it, we were just going deep because we just gelled really well. You know how it goes. Awesome. And yeah, it was like a no holds kind of bar, like no limitations kind of record. Like it was really nice to make with those guys because we were able to go anywhere and it just sort of went there. So it's pretty out there.
What synths are you playing music. For the nerds? Like, what are we?
Lots of synths, you know, lots of synths, lots of like vocal, beautiful harmony, crazy drums. Like, you know, like Lanius is an incredible singer who's like just so good in the studio. It was just a really fun projects.
That sounds like a hoot.
And then, probably next year, Hiatus will be back in the studio, sort of making a new record. We'll have some time, hopefully, to do that. And, it'll just be, probably next year, I think will be a bit more of a creative year, hopefully. Those are the kind of years that you love.
I hope so.
The first time I heard Alon, also I got to say, because he was a massive inspiration for me to start drumming. I was in Sydney, living in Sydney, and I saw him on stage, and I'm like, wow, that's what like a professional drummer sounds like. That's what a good drummer sounds like.
Yeah,
incredible.
his
But
business.
he also, because he was doing with all this crazy shit back in the day, he had a helmet on that when he hit the snare and moved to his left, it was like a reverb, and then he moved to the right, it was like delay, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? And then, he's come up, invented this air sticks thing that sounds...
That's crazy.
He's actually been doing gigs with his dog.
Yeah.
Like he's put like
This just gets better with every
he's got like
chip
a
in.
motion, all this motion sensor technology stuff, and now he's just basically embedded a thing in a ball, and he's just like throwing the ball out in the audience, and the dog goes and gets it, and it's just like triggering
Creates
all
all
sorts
this
of crazy sound shit.
It's so cool, dude.
Yeah, it's wild.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
god.
That's
Yeah, his
the
dog
shit.
Rasley.
The
he's a
cutest
good-
gig
he's a good
ever.
boy.
That is the shit.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild.
That's
It's wild.
amazing.
Yeah,
God,
it's a
there's
genius.
so much dopamine going on in that room.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, Alon's amazing. Yeah.
What are you doing? What you got going?
Yeah.
Me? Oh, I sang on one of the new Sweet Enough songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been doing some stuff with Byron, who's a rapper from Melbourne, and we've been doing some singing together. He's putting out a new record soon, and it's beautiful. The title track on that we've been singing together. Other than that, recording weird, like my dishwasher, traffic lights, all that weird shit.
Yeah.
Singing in Hiatus, teaching, everything. Yeah, I don't know. I'm the voice memo girl. When you go back to the process thing of like, what's your process to get it out? I'll put it in a voice memo, and I'm like, glad that's out of my system.
Yeah.
Don't really give a shit who else hears it. It's not for them. It's for me. I just needed to get that out, and I'm happy with that. Otherwise, I'm just jamming with the traffic lights, and that just keeps me going. Yeah. All right, just to wrap up.
Yeah.
One song reco from all of you for everyone to listen to today.
Yeah.
Get your phones out, get your Spotify, get your
Remember the name of
Pandora.
anything?
There's a band that we've been checking out on tour that I've just been smashing their records. They're a Swedish band called Dyna
Organ.
Organ. Dyna Organ.
Dyna Organ.
O-G-A-N.
And I'm really digging it.
D-I-N-A.
Yeah, Dyna Organ.
Okay.
I mean, there's a track called Docka, D-O-C-K-A, which is just banging, but all their stuff is really just great.
Thank you, Simon.
Eh?
Copies of the records incoming.
Oh, copies,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Copies are coming into Flow for the local hits.
Yeah.
T, what have you been
Yeah, shit.
pumping?
Best of Mary Lou Williamson.
Oh, man, me too.
Hands
Dude, the
down.
chorale, I second that. That's, yeah.
Yeah. Just it's
I'm like-
old record. Just get it. That's it.
The pink one?
My
Really?
version was tan because it's always different.
Okay, yeah, that,
Yeah, that stuff. Yeah.
rocked
Mary Lou
me.
Williamson.
Sick.
Pezzy?
Junior Messer, quit your job, run away.
Hey.
Yeah. Junior Messer is the artist.
I think you played it. Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
had
it's
one.
super chill. It's
Awesome.
a peaceful song.
Yeah.
But actually everything else by the guy is more punk rocky, indie punk rock kind of stuff.
Okay.
And this is just nothing like that. It's really chill. It's like piano, saxophone, and that's it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like a wild card.
Yeah. That's super nice.
PB?
I think it's called Elizabeth's theme from the Bram Stoker's Dracula soundtrack.
This is so...
Actually really good. By Wojciech Hillar and the Krakow Philharmonic Orchestra.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it,
It's
man. I
actually
know it's
beautiful.
going to be
It's actually
good.
it's really beautiful.
I know it's going to be some
orchestral
beautiful,
soundtracky-
arrangement.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's really good.
Do you rate the film?
I don't know. I haven't
Yeah,
seen the
no,
film.
okay.
I just know about this track and I'm like,
TBC.
that's really good. Really good strings,
Awesome. Well, thank you, fellas.
Thanks, Laura.
Big hands for Theo Parrish. Swooping, we've got Bender, Perrin and Simon. And Laurie. Thanks for listening to me yap on. Thanks to Flow Records and Wild Combos. And hopefully see you guys later on at the gig where you can catch all these fine musicians reading the room. Watching everyone's feet. You get in what you put it. You get out what you put in. So yeah. All right. Thanks everyone.
Nice one, Lizzie.